Welcome everyone to our Q1 webinar, where today we're going to be covering some of the key tips on success with financial planning and forecasting for the upcoming year. I'm really excited about all the capabilities we're going to be showcasing today, some of them at a high level, but then also others we're going to go into a live demo and show you guys how you can actually use some of the features in the system. So really excited to jump right into things. We're going to start with just an overview on what we're going to be covering during this session. I'm going to do a quick introduction of who I am and who Volt Technologies is. So you know exactly who you're talking to and really where we specialize and can help you out in the future. We're going to look at the topics that we'll cover at a high level, and then we're going to go into an actual live demonstration. Really excited for the capabilities we're going to be showcasing there. And then we're going to address some frequently asked questions that we get asked all the time whenever we're implementing some of these capabilities. So we're going to cover those all right up front and then wrap it all up with next steps and how we can connect and potentially partner together. So with a brief introduction on my side, my name is Mason Whitaker. I'm the president at Volt Technologies. My background is heavily in the technical space. So I've been a software developer for over a decade now. Doing lots of implementation of not just ERP, but other solutions like CRM and quality management in a former life. I spent a lot of my time in the enterprise sector working with our parent company, Sunrise Technologies, where I focused heavily on the deployment of Dynamics 365 Finance and Supply Chain, which is the Tier 1 D365 product that's offered, where there's lots of extensive enterprise capabilities. Spent a lot of time there focusing on those rollouts of large-scale enterprises and found a sweet spot for small and mid-sized businesses when Microsoft released Dynamics 365 Business Central to the market. So since the product has been released, I've been focusing on the deployment and continuous improvement of it with our team here at Volt and loved every second of it. That's a little bit about me, but our team in general, we are the #1 partner when it comes to Dynamics 365 implementation and continuous improvement. On the left here, you can see just a handful of the accolades that we have, that we've gained over the years. I don't want to spend too much time on this. Really just the one to call out is the Microsoft Inner Circle member. We've been an Inner Circle member for 8 years consecutively now. This allows us to get accesses to resources at Microsoft that other partners do not get, and we can help Microsoft steer the roadmap by providing feedback from our customers on the direction of products and where the features are going to be released, and just ultimately sharing your feedback direct with Microsoft. We have implemented over 400 times successfully, so we're definitely not new in the space. And we implement the full suite of Dynamics products as well as the Power Platform. So whether it's Business Central, where we specialize here at Volt, or with our parent company Sunrise with Finance and Supply Chain, or all the other products that exist within the D365 portfolio, such as Commerce and Customer Engagement or CRM, and some of the other ancillary tools like CI and fraud protection. But that's just a little bit about us. Don't want to spend too much time there. Really want to get to the meat of things, which is going to be covering some key topics. And first, I want to make a couple assumptions. First, you already are a Dynamics 365 professional, and you're looking to get more details on how you can leverage financial planning and inventory optimization in the system. The second is that you're wondering if D365 Business Central is the right fit for your organization, and you're evaluating some of the options out there. Regardless of if you're already on BC or you are a new prospect and just looking for a new solution and you're in the exploratory phase, I really believe you're going to get some value out of this session today. And the topics we're going to be covering are going to be financial planning and budgeting, inventory and supply chain optimization, and then going a deep dive into some of the reporting capabilities that are in the system. On the financial planning side, we're going to look at the budgets that are available, some of the forecasting that you can do, and comparing against actual. That's one of the biggest benefits of the system, is loading in a budget or a forecast and then netting it out to actually what you did. So you know where your forecasts are landing and if they were accurate in the beginning. There's a lot of capabilities in the system in regards to AI and Copilot, assisting you with generation of those forecasts. Let's start with some of the basics today, and then we can go a little bit deeper later on. On the inventory side of things, You can also look at what your forecasts are going to be and then allocate inventory and create replenishment plans based on those forecasts. So forecasts being a big driving factor in your overall inventory control and your inventory picture. Going to show you some great ways that you can forecast out problems that are upcoming in your supply chain, and you can go ahead and make decisions to get ahead of those. And then lastly, the reporting and data-driven decision making. This is all of the reporting capabilities that are the backbone of Business Central, whether it's Power BI with Microsoft's Power Platform tool that we can embed into Business Central, or the reports that are just coming straight out of Business Central. We're gonna touch on that as well. When it comes to financial planning and budgeting, Business Central has a lot of capabilities for you. This is a great way to get an understanding on what your forecasts for the year are going to be from a financial standpoint. And there's a lot of things we're going to touch on in the demo on this, whether that's looking at the forecast of their actual budgets, your month-end close, what your year-end close is going to look like, or looking at things like automating your bank reconciliation. Business Central does have a lot of capabilities when it comes to cash flow forecasting. I'm going to touch on some of that in the demonstration today, just showcasing how AI can be leveraged and some of the different models that can be used to forecast out your cash flow and looking at what the cash flow worksheet looks like. And then also just being able to take all the data that's generated from using Business Central and then analyze this using Excel with the add-in that is available, or looking at it from Copilot. I'll showcase some of those capabilities as well. On the inventory and supply chain side of things, you can manage your full warehouse and all of your inventory inside of Business Central, but also the shop floor and manufacturing execution as well. So you can look at the full bill of materials of your items, the routes that are performed or the operations that are performed to create a given finished good, and all the sub-assemblies that go into that, raw materials. You are able to manage that full end-to-end life cycle of your products and your inventory, and then forecast out in advance how long it's going to take you to produce certain goods to meet your given demand. So we're going to be touching a little bit on that today. And then you could also look at your overall warehouse management and ensure that you're running things as efficiently as possible. A lot of customers, when we come in and we look at inventory operations, things are all over the place and there isn't the visibility into the inventory. We're able to manage that all inside of Business Central and enable some really great capabilities just by using the out-of-the-box features that are available for you. So we're going to take a look at some of that today as well. And then lastly here, but certainly not least, the reporting capabilities that are available in the system, looking at Power BI and the consolidation across multiple data sources and then embedding that back into Business Central. It's a huge feature to be able to have data or reports rather, look like it's being generated only from Business Central, but it's actually aggregating across a variety of data sources. You know, we definitely don't expect the Business Central as your only system. Well, it may be your biggest system being your ERP, but it's definitely not the only one. So consolidating all that data together and then embedding it inside of Power BI in Business Central is definitely the way to go. So we're going to cover how that works and give you some touch points on how you can take advantage of it as well. So that's the high level, what we're going to be covering in the demo today. I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it. So here in Business Central, you can see I'm on the Role Center page, currently logged in as the business manager role in a demo environment. There's a couple different ways that you can navigate to some of the financial planning capabilities in the system. First, you can come up and hit under your finance dropdown within your Role Center for the business manager and see a variety of options for your planning efforts, whether that's GL budgets, your sales budgets, purchase budgets, or looking at analysis reports across these. Of course, you can always do my favorite keyboard shortcut, which is Alt-Q, to pop open the search icon, or go up here and click on the top right and hit search. From here, I could also type those in as well. So from anywhere in the system, I can navigate to these the budgeting module. I'm going to drill into budgets and show the creation of one and then how you can use some of the actual to budget capability, reporting capabilities that there are. So I'm going to create a new budget. I'm going to say 2025 budget. Just going to do the same for the description. expand it out. You can assign dimensions to these budgets. So if you only want it applicable to certain dimensions in the system, you can do that as well. The dimension is a capability for you to split out your accounts by a subgrouping. So it's really flexible in the system where you can have your accounts in your chart of accounts, but then group things differently by dimension to get another level of detail on your P&L or your balance sheet or just overall all of your financial reports. We're going to leave it as the defaults, which are department and customer groups, very common dimensions that we see used in the system. I'm going to select Edit Budget here. You're going to see now the breakout of all of my defaulted GL accounts that are in here. Of course, your custom chart of accounts is going to be reflected here as well and not the default one that's here. And then going to select the view by to show you that you can do this by a month basis. You can do it by a week basis, day, quarter, year, or your accounting period. If you're running on a separate calendar period or accounting period that isn't a calendar period, then you can, of course, set that up in the system as well. I think month is always the favorite that everyone likes to go by. You can see that you can do this by the period and loading it in on a date basis, or you can change this and actually load it in and by dimension. So if you say for a given year or for this given budget, that this department only has X amount that it can use on this account, that's how you can load that in here as well. So there's a lot of flexibility that you can get from the budgeting standpoint. But you can see down below, I've got all my accounts here. I can set up a variety of filters. So if I want to only look at specific accounts, I can filter that in here. Or if I only want to look at balance or income accounts, I can do all my dimension filtering here as well to get me to exactly the accounts that I want to create the budget for. Once I've filtered things down to get it to where I have all the accounts that I want to create my budget for, the easiest way to do it is by coming here and just typing in the numbers that you want in your budget for that given period. So if I say January 2025, drilled in on accident. If I say January 2025 is going to be 1,000 for this given account, well, let's say 10,000. And then maybe February, we're going to do better on our income services and it's going to be 12,000. So you can see as I'm adding it in, it's rolling it up to the overall budgeted amount. So this is the easiest way to make minor changes to your budget, but definitely not the go-to. Normally, what we see customers using is the import and export from Excel capability, which you'll find up here on the top left. So I'm going to hit export to Excel. I'm going to have my start date be the beginning of the year. I'm going to have a number of 12 periods, so for the full year, and a period length of 1 month. There's a lot of other details that you can filter out in this as well to get you to exactly what you want to create your budget for. But I'm going to hit OK. This is going to export out my budget for me into Excel, and then I can enable this. And now I can just, like most of you are probably used to with Excel budgeting, I can just input in these numbers that map to the account and the period to then be able to load back in. But normally this is where we see a lot of other complexity being added in, where we have lots of other Excel spreadsheets that are being mapped into this budget here to then be able to load back into the system. So for the example, I'm going to put in under January, I'm going to put 10,000 here, and then we're going to increase 15,000. And then we're just going to show that steady increase over time just to, paint the picture of what this would look like. And we'll do 65,000 here. Amazing. Of course, you'll go through all of your different accounts and have this all mapped in. This is just example data. Be great if you're doubling your business, after 2 months and then continuing kind of on this linear growth path here. This looks fantastic for a company. So I've saved this now. I can come back here and do import from Excel. I can then select the options of what I want to do, whether I want to add additional entries in, or if I want to just replace the whole thing. I'm going to replace the entire thing here. So I'm going to put the date in just for a description and hit OK. Now I'm going to select that file. Wonderful. Now it asks if I need to replace it all. Yes. Now you can see that behind the scenes, all of these entries have been added in here. If you want to look at a granular level of your entries, you can always drill in and see all of your budget entries that have been added to this given budget. This is really great for looking at analysis of this. So if I click on my analysis view from here, I'm going to skip the Copilot and just do the analysis view. I can create pivot tables on the GL budget that has been loaded in to validate certain things and go through the process of working with my teams on what their budget was that they created. Amazing. And then now that I have this budget loaded in, you can set up multiple different budgets that are specific by dimension, by different periods, even different accounts, whether it's income or balance, and split it out however you would like. But really where a lot of the value is where you get the reporting from this. And there's a few different ways that you can see reports coming from this. The first being GL account balance budget by period. You can click on the report tab and then drill over here. And then this is where you're going to be able to put in a lot of different filters to see what your budgeted amount was versus your actual, and then get some variance detail from that. So you can see I'm looking at this from a month perspective, looking at let's look at the whole year here. Awesome. So it's now looking at the entire year from January all the way until December 31st. And you can see my full budget amount. I don't have any transactions that are actually loaded in for this year, or you would be able to see the debit and credit amounts and then the balance that would be associated with it, and the budget variance, which is a key detail on this reporting. You could do lots of different filtering here as well. So this is one of the ways that you can get access to the budget detail. But then probably the most commonly used is adding it into your financial reports. So I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning here. From our drop down, I can hit finance and then go financial reporting. And that's where I'm going to see all my financial reports that have been created in the system. These are just the default ones that come with Business Central. Normally during implementation or during a continuous improvement project, we will end up working with our customers to design these out specifically for your business, so you're getting everything that you need. But I'm just going to drill into the income budget here, or income financial report here. And you can see that we have our account, all the details that are rolled up to it. So there's no data in this here, but let me maybe go back to an older period. I think this environment is quite old. Let's look at some data there. Perfect. So we're looking at April of 2022, long time ago, but you can see all the details here on the change by account. So you're seeing that rolled up. You can also drill in and see the actual amounts and the underlying entries that support that. So this is a whole nother video that we can have on just regarding financial planning, or financial reporting rather. But you can come in here and set now your budget. So that 2025 budget that I've loaded in, I can hit OK, and it's going to filter to be only the accounts that are related to that budget. And then if I want to actually go in and add in my budget, a column for it, so I can do my edit column definition here. You can see this net change field over here on the right is the only one that's available in here. But if I want to also add in my budgeted amount, now you can see I'm going to look at my budget entries, and then I'm going to select here my budget that I loaded in, the test one. Amazing. I can hit OK. Now you can see my budgeted amount is going to be over here on the right. If I change this back, we're dealing with data from multiple different years just to show you what this looks like. 5, great. So now you can see my budgeted amount on here is that $15,000 coming from the 2025 budget loaded in. So you can see if we did have that 2025 data, you'd see that amount of the account, and then you'd also see your budgeted amount. You could, of course, set up additional capabilities with formulas in this, where I can be able to apply some math, like if I do the variance. So we'll call this the variance. And then I can maybe do column 1 minus 2. Should be able to add in some fun math to this. So now you can see what the variance would be loaded in. So you can really play with your financial reports and get it to be exactly what you're looking for. So that's the financial reports and applying budgets to those financial reports. There also are budgets across all of the different departments like sales and purchasing. So you can track what you should be selling for your items versus what you actually are selling. So you know where you're leading or comparing to plan from the beginning of the year. So a really great exercise for you all in this first quarter of the year to plan out all your sales budgets and add them into the system. So just the same way you would add in the GL budget, you could do that with the sales budget as well. So I've got a sample budget here under sales budgets. You can drill into it, and you'll see here we've got all of our items that are in the system, and then the amounts by period that these would be allocated as. And this can be as the actual amount, or this could be quantity against the item. So a lot of times we'll see amounts being the primary one, but you can also do quantity on here to say that for this conference chair, and we're operating in an older period here, but I meant to sell 100 and then 150 the next month. So you can have all your budgeted quantities loaded in here, and you could do the same sort of analysis that you had on the GL account side. You can do that with the sales and items side as well. So that's the sales budget. You can do this with purchasing as well. So if I navigate into purchase budgets, I can create a new one. I'm going to say this is our open to buy report here. I can edit this budget. And then now it's going to show me all my items and then what I expected to purchase. So you can do this. We typically on the purchasing side actually see this as an amount, specifically with open to buy, how much is remaining for your purchasing agents to buy for a given period. But you can do the same thing. So putting in a certain amount for purchasing. So let's say for the conference chairs, we have 12,000 that we're going to budget for this given period. This is looking at days. It should really be months. So 12,000 for this, and then maybe 15,000 for that next month. Of course, this is all flexible around the dimensions. So like we called out in the beginning, you can have different departments that have different budgets that are allocated to them, and then be able to filter everything out to look at the high level, how much is budgeted against an account. But then also you can look at the individual department levels and dimension levels, which can go even more granular, to be able to see all of the roll up that you need by cost, by quantity, and get all of the reporting that you need in comparison with your actual. So the sales purchase budget's really powerful in the system. They give you a lot of detail that you can use to make some insightful decisions. Amazing. Let's go back to the front here. So that's a lot of the capabilities from a financial planning standpoint. You can load in lots of different, forecasts and your budgets to compare against. There are some AI capabilities that are available. Like if I look at the cash flow forecast setup here, you can go in and let me actually do this setup. So cash flow setup. You can see where this is actually automatically updating once you have it configured to then give you what your forecasted cash flow is. Our team can help you with that setup on here, but it's a different way that the system is able to give you these sorts of budgets and these forecasts for you. You could do the same thing goes with inventory forecasting as well, which we'll touch on here in a second. But there's a lot of capabilities in the system to then take the outputs of some of these forecasts, load it in as budgets, compare them against actual, and then make some good decisions from that, from a financial standpoint. On the inventory side of things, when it comes to forecasts, a lot of times the starting point is the demand forecast. So in the system, I can look up my demand forecast, and this is where you're actually able to look at item-specific forecasts and then affect your inventory and planning parameters to then generate planned orders for you to go and purchase or for you to go and produce those items. So I have a test forecast here that I can drill into. You can see it's got all of my items just automatically pulled in here. Like the other budgets in the system, you can filter this down by the dimension or by the specific item. You can have this as components, sub-assemblies versus an actual sellable item or both. So really flexible when it comes to that. You can split it out by the calendar period or your given accounting period. You can filter based on item groups. So if you have demand forecasts that are only for specific item groups, then you can split those out here as well and make it only applicable to those. And some of the best capability that I see from this with our customers is doing this by location. So being able to forecast by location, you can see down here below, it's adding in the location code. So now I can take all of my SKUs and then plan them out by individual location. So this way, when I'm creating purchase orders, it's going to recommend those given locations to me there. So just for an example, I'll show you how you can go in and add in these. So we're going to do coffee beans for Peru. I am going to put in, let's say, just 100 here. Oh, let's do 1,000. So there's 1,000 that we're expecting to sell on this, or that we have demand for on this given day. So once you've added in all of your items in here, which you could do the same thing that you would do with the other budgets, so loading it in through Excel or a configuration package, now you have this demand applied against these items in the system. And you're going to want to create your planned orders and your suggestions for how your supply chain should move forward. You can do that one of two ways, whether going to the planning worksheet or the requisition worksheet. The only difference between the planning worksheet and the requisition worksheet is planning is able to do both the production and the procurement, versus the requisition worksheet only looks at the procurement side and the purchasing side. So this worksheet here, this planning worksheet, which you can create multiple. So this is just the default one. So you can create ones that are specific to different departments or different items. And what you'll do is you would come in and hit prepare and do calculate regenerative plan. You'd set a start and end date on when you're wanting to create that plan. And then this is where that forecast comes into play. As you select use forecast, and now it's going to take into account that forecast that you've loaded in with all your items and what their expected demand is, which can just be your sales budget as well. Like, we're expecting to sell these, so this is also my demand forecast, and here's what I need to then plan against. And then you can filter these on specific items and run only specific things if you'd like, and then you hit OK. And in this is going to be one of the most intensive algorithms in the system that looks at all of my open available inventory that is currently sitting at a given location. It takes into account what purchase orders are incoming to that given location, as well as transfer orders that are incoming to that given location. And then it looks at the demand that you're forecasting from your demand forecast that you've loaded in, as well as actual demand from your sales orders that are in the system. It takes all of these things into account and says, how much do I need to produce or procure? So that's where it's going to give you some suggestions to your orders. So here you can see, so I ran only for the given month. So during my my demand forecast, I loaded it in for 2022. So that 1,000 is not applying here. But you'll see there's a lot that's being recommended to purchase for this given item. So this mode 16 cottontail, it's saying, hey, I need to purchase 1.2 million. Again, this is all demo data, so can't really, trust the outputs of this. But it's going to tell you, hey, this is an emergency. You need to purchase this now. And here are the dates that you need to apply for this. So I can say that this starting production for this and ending on this time. Here's when I need to get this purchase order in. It's going to give you, normally this spreads out into a lot, hundreds of orders, thousands of orders that it's suggesting for you to perform. And then you can come in and click the accept action message. So it's saying the action is to create a new order. So this is going to create a new purchase for me of 1.2 million of this mode 16 cottontail. And I can then come and say, carry out all my action messages. So normally at this point, you're looking at all of the orders that have come through. You're going through and looking at the dates, seeing if we can confirm these dates and essentially firming those orders. And then you're selecting if you can accept those action messages. And these action messages can be new, it could be to change something, to reschedule something, or to cancel a given order that's already out there. Maybe you have too much inventory and someone puts out it's planning for, or there's a purchase order out there that needs to be canceled. It'll make that suggestion for you as well. So when I hit this carry out action message, I can select what actions I want it to take on specific orders. So like for purchase orders, do I want it to actually make those purchase orders, or do I want to put it into like the requisition worksheet as a staging area? And same thing goes across all of the different orders. So I'm going to say make purchase orders here, and I'm going to hit OK. Now what this is going to go do is it's going to take that action message of creating a new order, look at the amounts that are required, look at all the dates that are required, and it's actually going to go and create that purchase order for me. So if I navigate to my purchase orders, I can pop over here. And then let's look at dates, the reverse. So we can see, wow, that's a big amount. The 40 million, it's probably that 1.2 million in quantity there. So I'm going to drill into this. And then now we'll see that we have the item, that mode 16 cottontail, and that 1.2 million. And the key is that it's using all of the dates and all of the forecasts that you've created and all of the external transactions like the purchase orders, transfer orders, inventory that's coming in or on hand already, and then what our demand is actually, as well as the forecast, taking all of that into consideration to create these orders for you. So it's really looking at your full supply chain to run this MRP algorithm. And so that's a little bit about some of the capabilities you can leverage from an inventory standpoint, looking at your demand forecasts for this upcoming year, starting to plan out, like working with some of your existing customers to say, hey, how much are we going to have purchased from you? Can you give me some ballparks? Putting those details in here to run the full plan and start getting some high-level figures about how you should adjust your supply chain upcoming for this year. So some great ways to optimize your inventory. There, of course, is so much more detail that goes into the configurations of the items. It's not as simple as what I've even shown here of lead times for specific vendors, warehouse handling times, all of the different factors that goes into this. Our team is experienced with helping set up all the MRP process with inventoried and complex operations. Amazing. So now let's jump over and look at some of the reporting capabilities that you can take advantage of. So I'm just hitting escape and going back to the home page here, or the role center, as Microsoft likes to call it. And I'm going to go down and show you how you can embed some of the reports in Business Central. So on the role center here, if I scroll down, you're going to see on the Business Manager role center, you're going to see a couple of the reports that are available here for you. So you have the out-of-the-box charts, which can be set up to be configured for specifically what you want. So this is top 5 customers by sales value. Let's maybe look at another one, our cash cycle. So how many outstanding payments are out there, cash flow. So there's lots of different reports that are available, just some of the basic ones that are enabled for KPIs. We also set these up custom for our customers as well. And then one of the exciting capabilities that I really want to highlight here is Power BI. So Power BI is Microsoft's business intelligence tool that allows you to visualize your data in a way that gives you direct insight into what's going on. And you can also drill through direct to the transactions to get an understanding of the underlying granular data to be able to make better decisions. Power BI is not just for Business Central, but like I mentioned in the beginning, it's also for lots of disparate data sources to aggregate those things together. But you can build that outside and embed it back into Business Central. So you can see this Power BI report is available here direct inside of Business Central. There's also 70 Power BI reports that Microsoft offers out of the box with Business Central, but this is just looking at some of the custom capabilities here. You can select any report that's been published. So if I want to change to a different report, I can look at all of the ones that are available to my workspace. Let's maybe look at lots of test ones in here. If I look at maybe top items sold by quantity. So it's going to refresh and now show me that Power BI report that is published to me, whether it's published by somebody else and made available to me, or I'm actually the one that is publishing it. And you get the same capabilities that you would get outside in Power BI Desktop, but now available inside of Business Central. So if I want to get a better look at this, I always suggest to expand the Power BI report to look at it from a larger screen, so you can operate just as you would if you were in Power BI Desktop. So you can see this is a basic dashboard of top 10 items sold by quantity. But also what I can do down on the bottom, which is a great feature, is that I can operate with it as if it is a dashboard and flip between different reports that are available out there. So I can look at different reports that are available to me. Amazing. That is just a high level on some of the reports and some of the embedding capabilities that there are. So I'm going to wrap us up here. Hopefully you guys got a lot of value over from watching the live demonstration of just some of the capabilities that help you with financial planning and inventory planning for this year ahead. Hopefully you've gotten some good value out of this and some great takeaways. Just some quick questions that you all may be asking. We are going to provide a lot of details coming out of the webinar with videos on how you can take advantage of these capabilities. And then, does Business Central integrate with what I already have? Yes, if you're using Microsoft products, Business Central is interoperable with other Microsoft 365, Power Platform, or Dynamics products. So it's a great option for you. The licensing and pricing. So everything that you saw in here is all included within the premium license for Business Central. Business Central is licensed on a per seat basis, just like Microsoft 365 is. So if you have your business standard or your E3 licenses, it's all based on a per seat, which is all set up through the Entra security management. So just like you're getting access to your email with Microsoft, same thing you can get with Business Central. The premium is $100 per user per month. But if you don't need manufacturing or service, you can take advantage of the Essentials license, which is everything from CRM, financials, sales, purchasing, inventory, warehousing, all of those details there, all those modules available at $70 per user per month. And then, just a couple quick ones. You do have Copilot embedded in Business Central directly that you can ask questions on your Business Central data, like what was my latest invoice that I sold to this customer, or what is my top producing item for this last month. It's going to give you those details back to you. So it is embedded natively into Business Central. We'll probably do a whole nother webinar on this in the upcoming future. And then how do you get started with Business Central? If you're not an existing customer already and you are just looking and in the exploratory phase, the best way is to go ahead, take advantage of the free trial, which we can send to you. We'll coordinate after this and send you all the details there. And then go through a discovery exercise with our team. We'll map out how your business is currently working from a functional and just an operational perspective. And then we'll look at, from a technology standpoint, what's underneath the hood in the systems model and get an understanding of how Business Central can play with all the other peripheral systems that you may be taking advantage of today. So our team can work with you definitely on getting started with Business Central. And then lastly here, if you want to follow us, we are available on LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. Feel free to reach out, schedule a tailored demonstration where our team can look at your current business and map out what that is going to look like in Business Central to really give you a flavor of how your daily operations will look like in the future with BC. And you can reach out to our hello email or just give us a call. We are looking forward to talking with you. Hopefully you all got some value out of today's session, and just thank you very much for your time. We'll be in touch if you have any questions coming out of this, but have a great rest of your day, everyone.